All right, good morning again, everyone, and welcome back to the KSR YouTube channel. No black eye, but still got my mark from where I face planted into Rick's wastegates when I was adjusting his front springs yesterday. But thankfully, I didn't end up with a black eye yet. But today, it's actually Saturday. Oh, Willie and I are working on SoccerMom because we got to get ready for Sick Week. And I forgot to mention in the video that I filmed yesterday, the shop update, about what we were changing in the engine program. Well, what we are doing is we are swapping blocks with our aluminum 5.3 block. So we run a stock block 5.3 in SoccerMom, and I'll show you the old block here in just a second. But we basically feel like our old block was just a little tired, and it's time for us to step into a new block. So let's go see if we can get to work, and then I'll show you guys what all is going on. Alrighty, well, here is SoccerMom's old block, and we think that possibly the threads are wounded down in these holes, because when we went to take everything apart, those didn't have as much torque on them as the rest of them. And we know we torqued them all when we assembled the thing. So it's like the threads are moving in the block or something like that. So I think what we're gonna do with this block, she's been a good block, but we're not gonna try and make 1500 horsepower with this one. So I'm gonna drill and tap the cylinder head bolt holes to 1/2 inch, and then we'll use this on, say, like a 1000 horsepower combination. Might even put it in a jet boat. We'll see. But she's been real good. But what we've got, I think it's actually at Will's house now. Picked it up yesterday from the machine shop. We have an LC9 GM aluminum block that we already had bored, had honed for all of our old stuff. So literally it's gonna be just drop everything in the block, reassemble it, and we're back to racing. Yes, we wanna do something bigger, badder for the car, but right now with the way everything is kind of going with motorsports industry, there's not any blocks available. At least the block that we want to use, one of the aluminum aftermarket blocks, it's not available. They're already promised out to other people that have engine builds going. We've called different machine shops, different engine builders, and we can't hardly find a block. So we're gonna run this one. There's guys that are going faster than we are with the LC9 block. So we're gonna use that a little bit longer, get through Sick Week, try and see if we can run the car faster than it's ever been in the quarter mile, which you guys might have seen how fast it went at Cletus and Cars Houston, which I think we're gonna talk about that a little more. I think we're probably gonna start showing times, but. So Will and I are gonna get the car pushed into the shop here. Doesn't have a motor in it, so it's gonna be a little bit of a fight, and we've got some chassis upgrades to do. All right, so our first order of business, we've got to update the roll cage in SoccerMom. Yeah, I'm a little tired from pushing the car in. They don't push too easy when they've got a spool in the back of them, even when there's no motor in them. But we are going to put a funny car cage in the car, and that should get us up to 25.5 spec, because I've already gone and done the roof gusset a while back, as well as these corner gussets here, and the corner gusset to the cage there. And we already have the X door bars, and this bar is tied down to under the floor. It's tied down to the front subframe, so that's all we need there.
Just need to do a number 1 bar.
Yeah, we just got to do a bar that connects the bottom of the main hoop over to the other side. which means we may be cutting out the cross member that's already under the floor. That's the thing we've got to look at next. So time for us to get back to work on this thing. Come up with a game plan. We got some grinding to do. Grind these off the rest of the way. Do some chopping and some cutting. We also have a new window net mount, so these need to come off. Yeah, time for us to get to work. All right, well, like most projects, this one is gonna end up being a bit more work than we thought it was gonna be. Basically, we need to cut out this old cross member, which this is from back in the day when Kimber had ladder bars on the car. These subframe connectors are not up to the correct thickness, so we gotta chop those out. We have to remake our transmission cross member, which we had been planning to do that because that's factory and that's heavy. We're gonna relocate the transmission overflow up into the car so that if anything gets pushed into the transmission overflow, it'll just drain itself right back into the transmission after the run's over. Probably going to also redo this heavy piece of stuff there. The drive shaft loop, which means we got to drop our transmission cooler down. Uh-oh, there goes the bolt. But yeah, we got some work to do on getting this thing chopped up. So we'll click on a time lapse here. Might talk through a little bit, might not, I don't know. Stay tuned to find out. Well, as you saw in the time lapse, we ended up taking the whole rear end out of it because these old subframe connectors go up above the spring mounts, which, yeah, we still run leaf springs and stock suspension in the back of SoccerMom. And it has been, what, 107 to 60 foot or 108? No, 108.1, I think, to 60 foot.
108.
Almost 107 to 60 foot. Some of you guys don't believe that, but it has. And you saw at Cletus and Cars, Houston, the car went a 762 in the quarter, and that was with a 497 to the 8th mile. I guess we're gonna be going on sick week, so we're telling times.
Yep.
So the car has been as fast as 461 to the 8th mile, which if you guys have paid attention to what some of the other cars have done, that's pretty freaking fast. 461, and if you think about, we went a 762 with a 497 or 494, I don't remember which, and the car's 0.3 faster in the 8th mile on a really good pass. Realistically, the car on a killer pass, if we legged it out and didn't care to spin the motor 92 or 9300 RPM, probably go 7.0s. And we think we can even go a little bit quicker, especially since we did the alcohol conversion. And the goal was to try to get the car in the 450s, possibly even tickle it into the 440s with some more work and modifications and whatnot. But for sick week, the goal is to run a 7-second pass at every track. Now, we've got to add weight to the car because the class we are running has a 3,000 pound minimum weight, and we've been weighing around 2,800 pounds. So we've got to add a rear fuel tank, second seat belts, alternator, all that other stuff. So we'll probably be adding, I would say, another 50, 60 pounds of ballast over all that other stuff we're doing, you know, plus the addition of the funny car cage, because the cage is only legal to 850 in the car currently. And yeah, I know that's a bad example. We've been going really fast with not enough cage in the car, but we're fixing that right now. And see if we can make this thing go a little bit faster now before we start doing something silly, and maybe try to get this thing back down towards the 6s. Oh, we're probably gonna change the rear gear too, because that way we can run the quarter mile without running the thing so hard on RPM. Plus it'll help out cruising on the street. So, all right, time for us to get back to work, making some more mess. We're gonna add some new subframe connectors that weld back here from the old subframe. But these have gotta go, but I'm still going to use this to tie in and reinforce the spring mounts, just because that's a good idea to reinforce those spring mounts, because obviously we're leaning on this stuff pretty hard to go as fast as we're going. It's probably gonna slow down with the gear, with the weight. I mean, if we can go anything 115 or better to 60 foot, we shouldn't have any problem running this thing out and hopefully going 7s at every track, and maybe we can go as fast as 750. We'll see. Let's get back to work. All right, well, that pretty much wraps us up for today. I'm probably dirty, just wrapped it up. It's dark outside. Kimber's checking out Rick's car. Came back from the track with CJ, which they ran pool boy today at Gainesville. But we've got some new subframe connectors on old SoccerMom. And a lot of times, at least for me, getting everything cut back out to the point of where you're putting stuff back in, that seems to be what really takes the longest. So me and Will put a bunch of hours in the car today. We got here about 9:30 and it is right at 7 o'clock, a little past 7 o'clock right now. So yeah, you do that math. I don't feel like doing math in my head right now, but didn't hardly take a break for lunch and pretty much have been working on this since we got here this morning. But time for us now to move back up inside the car, start working on the funny car cage, the #1 bar that runs, some people put them under the floor like I did on Jimmy's Mustang, but on this one we're gonna go over the transmission tunnel to satisfy that requirement and try to get this thing ready for a chassis cert that is next weekend out of Gainesville. So it's gonna wrap it up for this video. Appreciate everybody watching and subscribing. See you guys next time.